Welcome back to Wizard's Workshop. My name is Stacy Rowland. So, I haven't posted anything for about a month, and I'm sure you didn't notice, and that's alright. But there are those moments in life when you just have to deviate. And I'm not one of those coaches, those types of inspirational people that are just going to say go, go, go. I believe that you are an organism, and if you're organic, then you ride the tides, the ebbs and the flows, and you add your energy into your projects when you feel it. And there are those times when you just don't. And you don't condemn yourself for it. You just let it be. And I can't even say forgive, because don't own that there was error. You're just spending your energy elsewhere, some other way. If you want to use the word distracted, I don't care. That's on you. But I'm thinking it's best just to let life happen. And if you're not doing something that you put yourself into, think about it. Think about it. Look at those things that grab your attention, and maybe grab a piece of paper and a pencil once in a while, and just start writing down ideas and thoughts. But yeah, it'll come back. Just that's what this is for. I'm putting out this because I feel like there's a lot to say. I've got so much more to say, and time is weird right now. Our present moment in reality is phenomenal, and there's a lot of stuff going on, and I want to help us grasp it and make it so that we can be cohesive as we ride the wave of the universe, because that's what we're doing. We are riding a cosmic wave of energy, and we are seeing it through our eyes, and we have molded that experience by our thoughts and our ideas and our dreams and our imaginings and our illusions to look a certain way. And because we are all in this together, all of those ideas are bouncing off all of the rest of us. And because it is easy, as we have seen historically, it is easy to manipulate the human mind, the human consciousness, and to make it believe a certain thing. We see cultures where entire kingdoms developed around ideas that we no longer hold as true. And we look and say that they're primitive. Now, they just had a different perspective of the cosmos. They had a completely different cosmology. And they believe certain things about their reality. And we don't believe that anymore. And there are things that groups of people get together and believe that the majority of us don't. Or there's a majority of people that believe certain things, but then minorities of people don't. So who's right? Who's wrong? There's no such thing. And so if my ideas are hostile to the external, then I'm adding hostility into it. I'm adding that. If I see the unpleasantness, it is in my eyes that unpleasantness exists. I'm the one that makes it right or wrong. And that's a hard thing for people to want to own, because we want to externalize our moralities and say the external says this is right and this is wrong. But it's in us. It's in us. I think that this was the fall from grace. People talk about in the Christian gospel, there's this notion of Adam and Eve, and they fall from grace when they eat a fruit that shows them good and evil. And it was delivered to them by the Lord of Illusion, is the best way to word that. Is that being is only able to show illusion. And what humanity gains is this idea of good and evil, and I think it's an illusion. I think that there are better ways to be and worse ways to be. And I believe in a society we can make judgments, cohesive judgments, based on the protection of us and the things that we have. I don't see that that's a difficult thought. That nobody has a right to interfere in a negative way or a violent way with another person's experience. That's a sucky thing to do to each other. That I come into your existence and I tell you that you suck. That I tell you that you're bad. That I tell you that you're wrong. Now, if you're wrong about a thing, I should find a nice way to word that. And say, hey, you did this thing incorrectly. You are not wrong. You as a being are not wrong. But the things that we do can be incorrect. The things that we think might not be real. That is the thing that we have to own. That what I see may not even be real. What I believe might not be real. And it sucks to challenge ourselves with that. Because if we are actually believing unreal things, then there's nothing there. It's void, it's empty. What is this? If what I believe about it is wrong, then I don't know what's going on. And I'm sorry, that's the state of a lot of humanity. It's just, we don't know who we are. We don't know what we are. We don't know what we're doing. But we exist. We exist in a phenomenal universe as multidimensional beings. And we're reaching a point as a planet of achieving another state and advanced states of awareness of what it is that is happening in our reality. What is actually happening. We'll be able to do this as individuals. We are able to do this as individuals. We always have been. We just didn't know how. And not just not know how, but fear is the mind killer. Fear brings us down into lower dimensions. When we exceed fear, when we get beyond fear, when we live outside of a state of fear and can maybe even move into an idea of a state of being blessed, a state of bliss, that we elevate our consciousness. And as we do so, more information comes in. But it's going to come in through our filters. And so when I tell you that the great owl told me such and such, I'm going to look like a crazy person. Because maybe what the great owl means to me and what the great owl means to you is a different thing. Or you might say, what's a great owl? And I don't know, I just made it up actually. But I'm sure somebody thinks that there's a great owl. And so they own that. And that's fine. We can own our pictures. But they're our pictures. And that's what we need to remember. That my pictures are my way of interacting with the cosmos. Now, what I'm offering is a model, not definitions. I don't want to tell you that a thing looks a certain way because, well, that's not up to me. But I can tell you how you are able to experience greater expanses of consciousness. And that's the key, because I hear so many people, and bless their hearts, they're speaking with good hearts, but it's not connected. And people say, well, the heart's more important, the mind is not. And I disagree. The pipe in the Lakota paradigm is a connector between the head and the heart, because the head still matters. It's not just all heart, but it can't be all head. You have to integrate. And that's the hardest thing to do. That's why we are divided, the intellectual from the feelers. We have to integrate the two, and that's how we become a whole being. There's no one, there is no the other. There's not one that's greater than the other. They're a balance. They are polarities. They are two ways of sensing and taking in. We feel and we sense. That feel is not the same as the senses. So we have to integrate. We have to have both. Too many people are going one way or the other because it sounds good. It's a beautiful thought, to come from your heart. Don't get me wrong, be there. But you are a mind in a body. So that mind, body, spirit thing, you are mind in body. Most of us believe because we look through our eyes and we hear through our ears and we speak through our mouths and we taste through our mouths and we smell through our noses, because all of these senses are here, that this is where we are. And so mind stays in the head. But mind can be anywhere in the body. That's what pain teaches us. Pain teaches us be here. And then we don't want to be there because it hurts, and so we take pain pills and we stay in our heads. You move into the heart. You meaningfully move your being into your heart, into your gut, into your hips, into your legs, into your toes. Put your feet on like shoes. Put your legs on like pants. Get inside of your body. Reach into your hands. Fill your chest with you and reach into your neck and up and around and into the supercomputer in your cranial vault. Possess you. Fill you. This is what you are. And this machine, this thing made out of dust, is capable of interacting with the cosmos in ways that we don't understand yet. And when we achieve those higher states of consciousness, it's not about the joyride. It's not about the getting blissed out. That's another illusion in shamanism, in shamanic culture. The drum brings on a state of what's called ecstasy, and it feels so good. And you have to come back. And when you're back in the flesh, and you're back in the emotions and the drama and the pain and the crap and the violence and all the stuff that hurts when we move ourselves out of that state of ecstasy. It's the same. When you reach those higher states of consciousness, they are ecstatic. And so we want to stay there and stay in that blissed out place. Say, oh man, how does it go? Stay off my vibe, man. Sorry, Joe Biden kicked in. But we have this angst against low vibe people. We're like, oh, we gotta be up here all the time. You can't be up there all the time. Reality's a wave. And so we ride the waves. We ride the up vibes and we ride the down vibes. But don't get distracted in thinking that that's it. One of the biggest mistakes we make is in our vocabulary, and this is why I love NLP so much, that we learn that our words are our drivers. They literally affect how we perceive reality. It's our linguistic map of reality. It's what we have to agree upon these words and say, I feel this way. If I was to say I feel happy, you likely have an understanding of happy. If I said I felt sad, you likely have an understanding and a grasp of feeling sad, but feel happy again. Remember a time in your life when you felt happy, and see it in your eyes, and feel it in your being, and if you were laughing, then laugh with it, and feel that same feeling, and take it on and put it on, and feel that for a while. So our words affect how we perceive reality. And one of the biggest things is, like, we use the term I am. I am is the most powerful term in reality. I am. What you put behind it defines how you engage reality. If I am mad, then I am mad. If I am sad, I am sad. If I can say I feel this, I feel angry, I feel upset, I feel sad, I can feel without owning that. I feel like I haven't done enough recording. I can hear it in my voice. So it's spring and there's allergies, and so that's why I'm coughing, and nasal stuff's going on, and I don't talk. And that's why I want to do this too, because I need to get the voice back. And there's, again, so many things to say. And if you want to watch, that's great. If you're still watching, fantastic. Double plus good. But who I am. Here's my favorite analogy. Star Trek Enterprise. Excuse me. Starship Enterprise. The captain's seat. I am. Whoever you define I am is the one sitting in that seat, commanding that vessel. If I am mad, then that's who's driving. If I am happy, that's who's driving. But if I am powerful, if I am a wizard, if I am a hero, if I am a saint, if I am a demigod, let that come out of you. Let that come out of you. Important stuff in those I'm trying to think of the word because it's there and I'm writing about it and I want to share this too. Collective unconscious. I know I'm rambling and I'm okay with that, so you're welcome. So in the collective unconscious we have these archetypes, and there aren't many, although there can be. You've got Jung. Carl Jung came up with this idea of the collective unconscious, came up with this idea of, or at least, looked around and said, hey, these guys are talking about this stuff and I'm going to call it this. And in the archetypes, what they found is Jung came up with 8. And 8 primary ways of being. Joseph Campbell spoke about this when he spoke about mythology. He said that myth was written for us, not about something else. And the idea was that you listen to the story and you own it. That the Lakota story of the pipe is found on this notion that I believe that they're brothers, and if I'm incorrect, I apologize. Um, they're walking along the plains, and out in the distance they see a beautiful woman, and they both approach her. And one of them looks at her lustfully, and he's struck down. And the other one looks at her as a sister looks at her, as a being, as a person, and she grants him the knowledge to, like, hey, go grab your tribe. I'm gonna give them wisdom, and or white buffalo calf woman. That's who she is. How we take on that story as individuals when we listen to it correctly, listen to somebody else tell you that story. We take it on because it's a story for us. In this case, it's a great story of morality. Treat your sisters well. Treat your daughters well. Treat your mothers or grandmothers. Treat them as sisters until they don't want you to. And then stop treating her like a sister, but treat her well. But there's that implication that comes with that story, that great wisdom came from treating a woman well. So these 8 archetypes of Carl Jung give us a model. When I was young, and I'll just tell you my story because this is what this is. You're listening to my work that I put under the moniker A Wizard's Workshop. And I don't think I've ever told this story. Well, maybe I have on video, but here we go again. So when I was in my 20s, I was lost. I was studying esoteric magic because my parents told me not to. I didn't join a cult. I just read. I didn't listen to any individual tell me what they believed, but I read books, and instead of believing them, I tried their suggestions and realized that, it works. But I didn't like the model. And so I kept studying and kept looking and kept looking and kept looking. Over the years, I'm 50, and I've not stopped developing and learning and researching and changing my mind about my perception about reality. But when I was in my 20s, I asked myself, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer to myself was I wanted to be a wizard. And I was honest. It was true. It still is true. It's never changed. The job, the career, is as though it's a part of that end goal. And I ask myself, I ask myself now, still, why? What is it about that archetype, that wizard archetype, that I am so drawn to? And it's the wisdom. And what is it about wisdom that's so important? Well, it's not knowledge. Knowledge is a thing that you have. Wisdom is a thing that you share. And that's the difference. That's why we're on this ride. At least that's why the wizard archetype is on this ride. And it's a choice. There are moments in life when you change archetypes, maybe by the events. Horrible story, and I apologize for it, but it popped into my head when I thought of the hero archetype. And I'm no hero. I don't want to be a hero. But here's what this looked like. So I'm walking home from work in town, and over in my peripheral vision, I see, I hear, I don't even know, it's, old memory. Hear and see brakes, and 2 people fly forward, and somebody scream. And I run to it. Now, I don't run now. I've got a bum hip right now. I don't run. I ran then. And threw my bag to the side, got there, checked him, he's bleeding, And I'm going to omit some of this story that I usually tell people, but his wife is there as well, and she's alert, not in a good place. A woman inside the car, full panic. People standing to the side of the road in shock, not knowing what to do. And, well, I had taken a course in first aid, and it was one of those, like, put you on the spot sorts of things where you had to role play. And I realized that this had affected me, that I knew what to do. And I was yelling at the crowd to call 911 and to come and get the lady out of her car, and they could take her out, off the scene so she didn't have to see this. And the paramedics showed up. I was able to tell them exactly what their condition was. And the paramedic looks at me and is like, are you a cop or are you a paramedic? I'm like, no, I'm a massage therapist. It was a position held. It was the engagement with an aspect of consciousness that not everybody else had. A lot of people just stood there in shock. The body and the mind did not know how to respond to the event because they weren't engaged with reality. I mean, maybe this is condemning these people. I don't mean to be mean, but our world is full of people that are in a cloud. They believe that the world revolves around illusory things. Mind you, I'm going to ask you to believe in illusions as we go along, but different ones. But they believe in this thing that we've all agreed to that is harming us badly, that we need to move ourselves away from. Utilizing a lot of the gifts that it's brought us, especially the ability to be together when we're even so far apart. So, life is weird. Life is weird. We need to change, but we need to change cohesively. And there was something that Mother Teresa had said that I really liked. Whether you're a fan of hers or not is up to you. She was asked once why she never showed up to any of the protests, anti-war protests, during the late 60s for the Vietnam War. And her answer was that she would never give her energy to a cause that is against something. Now, I'm me, so I'm going to filter this through me. And my take on what she was saying is that the universe is a creative force. Science can say that it's expansive. It's creative. It's outpouring all the time, consistently, and that's the energy of it. It just keeps pouring out. Nothing of that energy is against. It's all just into and for. And we live at a time when people are very much against things. You name it. It's an entire class and cultural division of us, all of us, that is dividing into a subset that is hostile towards the other. And it's against. My view is that we need to be pushing for, not for stupid things and stupid ideas, but for us. Like, my best example, is permaculture. If you've seen any of the gardening videos, it's the underlying force that I see when I work with the dirt. Is how do things interact, and how can we make that interaction compound and become synergistic? That's the idea of, to me, what permaculture is how do we play with the dirt and the plants and the organisms in such a way that it becomes a symbiotic relationship that adds to itself, giving forth. That's an idea worth sharing. And so I do as often as I can. Obviously, I just did again on here. But we need to be for more things. And I'm sorry, peace is too vague because it's defined by too many people, too many different ways. I don't know the answer. I believe that peace is the result, that peace is not the goal. The goal is living in harmony with the planet as a species of people. That our existence is entwined with the earth. It already is. Our entire culture of the modern world has divided us, has made us separate. We put down concrete to divide us from the earth, so we don't have to walk in the dirt. That's insane. That is insane to think that a species of a home world creates a barrier so it doesn't get it on it. That's what we've done. That's what we have done. And it's sad. I feel sad about that. But if we know it's right. We know it's right. You know in your heart, in your mind, that if you have a lot, not a lot of land, a lot of dirt, a yard, you know that the best utilization of that is to grow you food. You know that. So do I. And that's what we need to share. There is zero reason not to grow something that provides you with something. Put out pots, big pots, put bamboo in them. Make yourself bamboo or sell the bamboo. Have it. Grow it. Make it. It grows from the earth mother. It just pours it out. And we want lawn? Lawn, so you can mow it and complain about having to mow it. And complain about the dandelions and the weeds. That is foul. That is beyond my conception of what is right in the universe. And you want that. And you're going to tell people that you are living in an illusion. And you are wrong. Your illusion needs to pop. You live on a planet that makes you food. Wow. Good rant. Okay. So, yeah. I can't even go back and tell you what I just said. I talked about a whole bunch of things. All right. So, that's that. I'm hoping that my voice just starts getting better because I don't like the growl. I don't like the cough. But, yeah, I'm not done. And I need to get myself back into this. Before I go, might as well do it here. So, twiddling your thumbs. So, I don't know about you, but I'll make this up here. A lot of people have always told me, I always saw people say this was twiddling your thumbs. you know, and it never caught on to me. And my grandmother taught me this thing where one hand just rolls back and forth across the fingers of the other. And I kind of adapted it and developed it into my own thing sometimes, where both hands just go. And then I can go back to one. It's not about mistakes. It's not about right or wrong. It's just about sitting there and twiddling your thumbs when you've got nothing else to do. And there's a lot of nothing else to do right now. So twiddle your thumbs. Why? Why would I want to twiddle my thumbs? Well, one, it gives me something to do. If you've ever had a fidget spinner, if you have a cell phone, understand why you want to twiddle your thumbs. Gives you something to do, gives you something to focus on. But here's what makes this so much better than something like a fidget spinner or something like a cell phone. Now, don't get me wrong, I use a phone, and I like to study, and I like to listen, which is another reason I procrastinate, because I listen to a lot of talk radio and talk shows and people talking, and I can feel it when they talk that things are weird right now, and so I need to throw myself out there and tell you that I know it too. And here's what I think, because I'm weird enough to think that what I think is important. If you don't, I don't care, but I do, which is my motivation. I feel like I have to. I just do. Trying to remember the guy's name, and I will here in a second, but he quoted a great quote that was, "Never die with the music. Don't let yourself die with the music still in you. Don't die with the music still in you." Wayne Dyer is the guy that I learned it from, and he was quoting somebody else. But you gotta speak your mind. You gotta speak. And if you think people are wrong, say so. You know, it's the internet. It's okay. People are gonna yell at you. That's all right. Twiddling your thumbs. Now, here's what's cool about this. You may or may not be familiar with this thought of, it's called applied kinesiology. Touch for Health is its brand name. So, this idea that you can affect the biology with movement and affect the mental state with movement. Not just breathing, like we've talked about, to change your state, but ways of working with your central nervous system through movement. Because in the brain, you've got your motor and your sensory cortex, kind of just like right above your ears. And it goes like from your head, which is up here next to your corpus callosum. As it comes down, it's your arms and your shoulders and your hands, and it comes down here into your feet eventually when you get down. And that's the map that they've overlaid to say where those motor and sensory cortex nuggets are. So what ends up happening is when you cross and contact and move. So one of the things in Touch for Health is called cross crawl, where you touch your elbow to your knee, or reach behind you and hand to foot, hand to foot. This is no different in that your sensory and motor cortex are simultaneously working, and as you're feeling both, and as both sides of you move, that information goes in and crosses your corpus callosum, which then integrates your left and right hemisphere. And I don't remember who said this, but I read somewhere where someone was suggesting that we had two brains. I like that notion because we hear I'm left-brained or I'm right-brained a lot. And if you imagine that you actually have two brains, and you then tell me that you are left-brained, then you are telling me you are half-brained, that you're only using half of what you have. And so You might, and again, oh yeah, magic word, I am left-brained. Um, but if you can say I'm dominantly left-brained, I am right-handed, I am more logical, I do come from this space more often, but then I move it into my feel box. But I can learn to integrate and therefore access the side that is not my dominant hand, dominant brain. Just like if I did more things with my left hand, poured. Instead of poured with your dominant hand, pour with your non-dominant hand. There is some ritual stuff where maybe you don't want to, and your right hand is how you, but left hand is the reception. Who knows? I don't know how you see the world. So do things with your left hand once in a while, or your right hand once in a while. Close your dominant eye once in a while and see with your non-dominant eye. Walk with your non-dominant foot, or ride a bike pushing with your non-dominant foot. Notice. Obviously it's going to be different, but your brain, because we don't feel it, we don't realize that it starts working. All of a sudden our perceptions are going to change because we're bringing in a whole new hemisphere of information that is plugged into, well, higher dimensions. And so you want to integrate, you want to cross the corpus callosum. You have to. And I'm going to say this last thing, because this is the part about why you present, or why I'm presenting my madness to you and the rest of the world. What you gain isn't for you. When you access the higher dimensions, it's pointless until you ground it. You have to bring it in. You can say anything you want about what it is you're perceiving about the spirit realm, the higher dimensions. But until you ground it and make it useful, it's useless. It was Gurdjieff, and I learned this about. Whenever I want to use the word Satori, and I don't know if that's a word he used, but you kind of get my drift here. Gurdjieff would have a student who would come to him in rapture, explaining their godhood. They've meditated, they'd done the practices, the breath work, the visuals, the silence, and come to the conclusion that they were the divine. And Gurdjieff would look at them and then have them work in the garden, grounding that knowledge into action, because that's where it's needed. It's needed here. This is why we're reaching this point where the veil is lifting, where we are engaging reality in a whole new way. And we need to ground it here, because this is where we are. We're letting go because we want to jump off. And what's happening here is madness. And that is not okay. We cannot let tyrants rule our progeny. The future of humanity cannot be run by tyrants. We must be free to express our divinity on earth as a species. It's not about religion. That is about divinity inside of man coming out. Religion just told us that divinity existed. And we got lost at every blind man touching the elephant, listening to their story, and all of us following, saying, this is the belief, this is what's true. No, what's true is divinity, not what is believed about divinity. But you take that in because it is what you are, because it exists throughout the cosmos, within and amongst everything. It doesn't separate itself outside of the solid things. Divinity exists within everything. And we just negotiated it out of our picture. We got stuck looking at the outside instead of bringing something into it. We want what's out there, and we've messed up. I'm not going to say don't have toys. I have toys. But I've said it before. Focus here. Be here. Be in your body. Let yourself out. See what happens. All right. I don't even know how that sounds at the end because I think I was whispering. But yeah, take care. If you actually got this far, God bless your soul. I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.